Welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's episode, we're going to put some color on the 32 Roadster. We ended last week's video with sanding everything in 400. I'm at the stage now where I've got to blow everything off, wipe everything down, do the final sanity check, look for any defects into it. As I ended last week's video, I may go over it with 600. I normally don't. I find it usually with 400 on this kind of a paint job, with one coat of sealer and two coats or more of single stage urethane onto it, I can't see scratches, even when my glasses are clean. So I may just leave it there because that's what I normally do. Anyway, let me know what you think. But that was usually what we normally do to it. So what I'll do, clean everything off. I'm going to tape the outside of the body with plastic and everything. My plan is to spray the inside and underneath separate. Once that dries, then I'm going to tape everything else off, and then we'll paint the outside, hopefully, in this episode. So anyways, follow along. We're going to get some color on the Roadster. So I did cave in and decide to sand everything with 600. So far I've got the deck lid done, the back half of the body. I had a bunch of, a whole package of 600 paper actually. So I've been going over it with that, and I'm using the 3M guide coat. It's a little bit messier than I thought it was going to be. Takes quite a bit to get it off, but just you pad the stuff on. I'm sure you've seen it before, like that. You've probably seen hundreds of guys do it before, but just going to, and actually I am seeing a couple scratches that I didn't see before, even with the red hue or the red overcoat, the guide coat that I kind of inadvertently put on. So you can see some really fine scratches there. This is going to give me an opportunity to actually get it all out. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to finish the cowl off. Shouldn't take all that long actually. We'll finish the cowl off, the doors off, and get the firewall done as well. Won't take that long. I'll just show you the end result. And then I'm going to start taping the outside. Well, I'll finish doing that. We'll blow everything off. We'll wipe everything down. And then I'm going to start taping the outside of the body off so that I can then start spraying underneath. And hopefully we'll do that tomorrow. Well, there's my version of a tape job. The philosophy of what I'm doing right now is I'm taping all of the nice parts that I want to have the best paint job on, and we're going to do them second. And then what I'm going to do is paint the inside and the underneath with the expectation that should I throw some dust up in the air, it's going to settle on the inside where I'm not going to see it. And then, like once it's all, the inside and the underneath are all painted, I will tape off the inside and I'll skirt the bottom. That'll just leave basically the areas that are flat, easy to clean, and less likely to have dust. I'm even painting the inside of the doors because it's so easy to have dust inside there. When you're spraying it, something kicks up and lands in the good part of your paint. So what'll happen, I'll tape off the inside of the doors when we paint the outside. So this is just my go at it. I guess all you professional painters out there, you're telling me if I'm doing it the right way. I've done before, I've actually just painted the inside, scuffed the outside, and then painted the outside. Had decent results, but maybe just lucky. Kind of try and pay a little more attention to this one because I'd really like to have the paint job on the camera lady's car as good as I can get it. So anyways, I'm in the process right now. We're warming the garage up because it's only I think it's 2 degrees Celsius outside right now, and it's kind of forecasting the rest of the week to be the same. So I'm really not going to get a warm day. So the plan is here, we're going to get it up as warm as we can. Gonna set the paint up for standard activation around 60 some degrees. That way, when I open the doors up, the temperature is going to drop 10, 15 degrees or so when I start spraying. And it should be, fingers crossed, into a temperature zone for the paint to set up properly, at least for an amateur anyway. So anyway, we're going to warm her up, drop the curtains, get the paint mixed up. I've got the mixing bench all set up there, the makeshift bench. We'll mix some red paint up here shortly, and hopefully in a couple minutes or a couple seconds, we'll show you a clip of red inside and red underneath. Well, there it is, a couple seconds later, about 3 hours later for me. We have the inside painted red and the underside. And like I said, I painted the inside of the doors. I forgot to paint those two panels up here, but they're just floor panels, so we'll get those when we paint the outside. So right now I'm going to let this sit overnight. I'm going to untape it, and then I'm going to start taping the areas that weren't taped, reverse tape, I guess, if you want to call it that. But we're inching along. Now I did find out that the young gentleman, Jesse, who painted the box on my 32 pickup, he's the guy that's going to come paint this. He's not going to be able to come until Friday. So in this episode, we are most likely not going to get the outside painted, but at least I'm going to get it taped off and ready to paint, and we'll just find something else to do. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we have to do for the 32 Coupe. There's some wood I can start working on, but we're at least got halfway to paint here, so we're moving along. Well, next day, everything is all untaped. It looks good. Didn't get any really bad bleed outs. Got decent coverage on everything on the inside. Ultimately, on the inside, we're going to be putting Dynamat on the floor and the inside panels and whatnot, but I kind of wanted to put a coat of paint on the inside, as well as the underneath. The underneath had 2 coats of epoxy primer. We've got the red paint underneath. I'll try and show you here. There we go. Everything is painted red underneath. Now, probably should have put it on a rotisserie or something to paint it instead of painting it upside down. That wasn't a whole lot of fun, but effective just the same. Got her all done. So like I said, what's going to happen now, we're going to shift and work on something else. In the middle of the week, I'll start taping it up to do the final paint and do the final cleanup. And then Friday, which is a day after this video, we're planning on doing the final paint to it, because that's just the availability of, that's the soonest that Jesse can come spray it for us. So anyways, success moving forward. Got one more step done on it. Now we're going to off to, I think what I'm going to do is go work in the wood shop and do some wood for Ellies Coupe, because I really don't want to do anything out here to kick up any grinding dust or metal or anything like that. We're going to try and keep her as clean as possible until it's time to paint it. So we're in the wood shop today, which I've done from time to time. I've kind of got a full wood shop here that I used to build custom furniture at one time. Kind of hung my hat up on that probably 15 years ago, but I still have all the equipment, which comes in handy when you got to reproduce the wood. So this is a little bit of side note. The gentleman that owns the 33 Ford coupe project that we're working on also is building a 35 or 36 Ford pickup. He has a guy by the name of Jeff York extending the cab by 6 inches. So what Jeff is doing, he's actually expanding the cab in the middle of the doors, so lengthening the doors and making a longer cab. If I can get a picture at some point in time, I'll show you. But where I come in is I've made up the wood that goes under the 35 and 36 cabs a couple times. These are actually one of the ones I'd made up already. So what the request is right now is, since they've lengthened the cab, this is the forward section, so that these bolt holes still line up with the frame, no problem. But from here back, I've got to take this and then, wrong finger, shift everything, extend everything 6 inches. So what I'm going to do I've got the blanks made up now. So I've got to make the blanks up. I'll make the blanks up all the same thickness. We're going to glue these two sections here. So we're going to cut this on an angle, glue it to the pad. We're going to mark out all of the holes, cut all the holes. And with everything square like this, we'll build it and put it together. Once everything is good, then I'm going to come on the bandsaw and taper it across the bottom, because as you can see, it's kind of tapered there. So I'm going to work away on this. I know it's not a 32 or 34, but it is a project for the gentleman that I work for. As far as the 32 Ellies Coupe, these are original pieces that go above the doors. Now, there is one on the passenger side. There isn't one at all on the driver's side. So this is the driver's side one right here. It's not okay as it is. It's kind of got some dry rot, but it's good enough for a pattern, so that's why I kept them. That's a blank that I'd made up before, but I'm not happy with that blank. So I've got a bunch of maple blanks here that the owner had supplied for me, so I'm going to pick out one of these pieces here. We're going to draw the blank out and plane it to the right thickness and start working on that as well. But first, I'll get the pickup stuff started and try and get that out of the way with first. Then we'll shift to the 5-window wood. Well, about 2 hours later or so, there is the set of extended wood for the 35-36 Ford cab. It was relatively straightforward to make. I didn't videotape myself doing it. I know most folks are metal workers on here, but essentially I did everything on this with the table saw and a very small drill press. Used a Forstner bit to cut some of the shallow holes here. There are some holes on this that are just basically clearance holes for bolts. So there's 2 here and there and there. The rest of them are 5/8 through holes. Essentially, I have this other set I made quite a long time ago, which I copied off originals. And the owner just brought them back and said, hey, can you make them 6 inches longer? As I said, all these cuts here were just done over on the table saw, using a miter right here and just basically nibbling away the clearances. It's as simple as using a vernier or a tape measure, measure them where the stuff is off. And even this line here, it actually is parallel with this piece. So it's basically a bunch of table saw cuts. Again, just do them slowly. The 2 pieces are joined by using a piece of thin piece of wood. I cut some slots into it, glued the slots in place, and then you can set up with a miter or something to get the angle onto it. But essentially I took one of these, and since I had the original there, I clamped it up against the original while the glue set, so that way I was assured of getting the right angle. I'm not sure how tight on the originals these are that are held in place. The original ones that I used to make that pattern were actually quite loose. I made them quite firm. So, but essentially this piece of wood here is gonna bolt to the frame. This is the front. The cab will sit on it, and they're sitting this way up. So what we wanted to do, as I said previously, is since the cab was extended 6 inches, I just moved, or I was asked to move this portion here back 6 inches. So for me, it's just relatively straightforward woodworking skills. I mean, if it's drilling stuff on a table saw, and even the bottom shape here, we traced it out and then cut it on the bandsaw. If you have a jigsaw, you can probably do the same thing. So that's done. I called him up. He's probably going to pick these up shortly. Next step, wanted to work on the 5-window wood. So essentially planed a piece of maple over there that I had. It's been sitting here air drying for quite some time. Planed it to the right thickness. That's the first step. And then the second step was basically to trace it out and then cut it out on the bandsaw. So what I'll do now is I'll go one by one with the different features here. One feature is that the wood is the same thickness right up to this point, then it drops off here. So I'm going to probably go on the joiner and then take this portion off first. We'll work on that. And then there's also some relief cuts along the side here. Looks like it's originally done with a table saw. I'm probably going to be using probably use this little shoulder plane here, more than likely, to try and replicate this particular cut and try and get those in first. Once we've got this dropped, this cut, then I'm going to flip over to the other side and start replicating the other features on it. So essentially just taking one feature one at a time, trying to cut it to replicate what the original one looks like. And then once I get it really close, I'm going to take it then out to the coupe and make sure it fits. Because anybody that's probably bought these reproduction wood kits, sometimes it fits in like a charm, and then other times you've got to work it until it fits into place. I've made stuff for people and it's fit right in. I've made stuff for myself and spent the same piece and spent hours trying to fit it in place, but have to be patient. Most of this on the 5-window, this actually creates a little bit of a structural element to the side of the door, so we want to really kind of get it right so it fits into the grooves. It's bolted in place here and there on the B pillar. These pieces these holes on the back are just to hold the window wood in place. So anyways, I'm going to work away on that next. I'll try and show you in between as we go, as I get some of the features cut. So far I got a couple of the features done on the piece of wood. The first one, like I mentioned, I put this area here over on the joiner, basically fed it into the joiner only part of the way, and then I took the saw here, cut a notch, and then we use a chisel to square up in here, square up this edge. So now we've got this little recessed portion which compares to the original. Next thing I did, and you don't have to do these all in a particular order, at least that I can tell. Next up, we cut this end here, marked it off with a square, basically put one on top of the other one like that. Made a mark with a pencil on the outer side, and then went over to we used the Japanese saw here, cut it square, then I went over the bandsaw and cut this section out. Now I'm slowly working my way around here, putting the different reliefs into it. There's a large relief here, as you can see. I've marked most of it away here right now, and I had it over here on the wood vise, just using the hand plane to finish this edge off here. So there's one right here, and there's another one that transitions. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. Goes from about here all the way down to this point. So we'll have to do that one as well. And as well, this corner here is chamfered pretty hard. So this is where it cuts into the sheet metal. So what I'll do next, I'm going to finish, bring this right up to the block line, finish this off, and then we'll start making this groove here along the side. After that, I think then what I'll do is I will put this little notch in here. Now this little notch is where there's a piece of sheet metal it's a small flat bar that goes from here up to the wood. So basically this is just a recessed area for that sheet metal. Then on the back of it, there's like a metal insert for a screw. So we'll have to drill a hole through here, and I'll put a metal insert on this side as well. I think once we get all of those reliefs cut into it, then it'll be time to start drilling some holes into it, and then going for some trial fits. So there's the finished trim, reliefs and stuff. Again, use the hand plane, cut these reliefs off. And then for these holes, basically, I put them one on top of the other, lined everything up, and drilled all the way through. Now, those holes look suspiciously oval, and believe it or not, it's on purpose. They've not been modified after Ford put them in. If you look on the bottom, it's the same thing. they're basically, when someone has drilled the holes into them, they've taken the drill bit and then cocked it like this. I found out about doing that the first time when I put the other two 5 windows together. You actually need these holes to be cocked like that so that when you fit the carriage bolt in, it can go in on an angle like this pencil and then come up straight, because there's not enough room between the top of the sheet metal for it to fit in. So it is actually done on purpose. Those holes there. Oh, I still have a couple more reliefs to do here. So I've actually got to cut this relief all the way along there too. So got one more thing to do before we do the trial fit. So there's the driver's door wood fitted in place right now. As you can see, hopefully you can see right there, I've got one of the bolts in place. I checked that the other bolt is in place. I'm going to have to ream them out just a little bit to put the 5/16 bolts in. The 1/4 inch ones fit in right now, but that's pretty good. On the front, there's actually 2 holes that have to drill up through that piece over there, but I actually need to move the cab away from the wall in order to open the door up to do that. But that's one of the chess moves that we have to do right now. I'm not going to do that until I get this painted, which is going to be in the next 2 nights. So tomorrow night I'm going to start taping up this. That'll be Wednesday night. The video comes out on Thursday night, and then Friday night Jesse's coming to paint it. So that's basically, unfortunately, that's the timeline that it is. I may start working on another one of the pieces of wood, or at least making a pattern. I'll get something else done before we get going tomorrow night, because we're missing the wood by the rear window there. You see right there, there's U-shaped pieces that fit around that window that are missing on the passenger side of Ellies Coupe as well. But again, it's kind of, yeah, you can see they're not there. So can only do what we can do, I guess, until we get some things moving around here. Well, tonight I was planning on starting to tape the body up, and still have plenty of time. It's only Wednesday night. Painting is going to get done on Friday night, but this is the night that we usually wrap up the video. But anyways, I started thinking about what else I had to do, and as you can see, there was something else I missed. Now, I have put the taillights in on painted bodies before, but I figured the best thing to do was cut these holes before I painted it. Just less risk of damage in the painted surfaces, and also if I screw something up, I can actually fix it. Now, we wanted to run the 39 style teardrop headlight or taillights. That's something I like. I picked up these taillights quite a few years ago. They were old stock Vintiques from the 1990s, so they're not LEDs. They're, I think, the 1157 bulbs. They've been kicking around at a fellow's shop for a very long time, given it's 2026, and these were from the 1990s, well, probably close to 30 years. So anyways, we wanted to put these on, and one of the struggles I came up against was that to put them on, the bolts actually interfere with the drip area here, right? The structure underneath. The bolt actually has to go through. So what you see a lot of cases is the people that put the 39 lights on, they're actually sitting really low. I didn't want that look. I wanted this to look like it was as centered as possible, top to bottom, and then justified to the right as far as we can go, because I didn't want these taillights over in the center. Now, we are going to put a license plate here with just basically screws and a tiny little light across the top, nothing fancy. I had this big bulky light that I was going to use, and then we had the plastic one with a light onto it, and then what I found online was there's a tiny little LED light that goes across 2 screws that fits right here. So basically then all you're going to have is just the license plate there and a tiny little light in between the two top screws. We'll put a piece of rubber behind this, but essentially that's kind of what we wanted to look. I didn't want to center the taillights in between the space. I wanted them more to the left and more to the right, closer to the edge of the vehicle. Anyways, my solution after messing around quite a bit was to go on the inside, and hopefully you can see right there. I drilled a hole in the structure, a small hole first, until it came all the way through the tail pan. So I drilled it through till I got this hole, and this hole was where we centered everything down. So from there I drilled the next hole, and then to open these up I used the rubber gasket. Took the rubber gasket there, drew a pencil line, and then used where are we? I used this hole saw, and I cut a hole in the top, hole in the bottom. So you tip the edge, so we cut here, cut there, and then I cut the rest of it out with a rotary file to clean it all up. Now, one of the things that happens is that in the back here, since I was screwing through the structure, I actually had to open that top hole up on the inside. Now there's no real way of actually putting a little nut inside there, so the solution was to, if you can see there, I'm just going to use castle nuts. The castle nuts are longer, and essentially I don't have to worry about putting a nut down inside of that kind of metal structure there. It protrudes out and holds things in place. So everything is all good right now. There's another hole in the bottom here that I had to basically drill for clearance, and then what that is this little screw here. When it pushes through, it needs room in the back. So when the taillights are in place and you want to change the lamp, you undo this screw, the metal comes off, the glass comes off, changes the bulb, and then basically you reverse the process again. So anyways, what we've got now, I've got basically the holes cut for the taillights, so I'm happy with it. I'm going to take those out. I'm going to clean up the holes just a little bit. And then tomorrow night, after this video is when it's showing, I'm going to be taping up plastic around the trunk area and basically putting plastic wherever you see red. And then the plan is also going to be to put like a skirt all the way around, so minimize all the dust cleanup. So anyways, we'll cover that on the next video. So that's it for another week of Coldstream Rod Shop. We didn't get the Roadster painted. We got the inside painted, the underneath painted, and we've got a plan to paint the outside. It just doesn't coincide with the ending of the video, unfortunately. The other thing, like I just explained a couple minutes ago, I wanted to get the holes cut for the taillights. I didn't want to be cutting those after the body was painted. So that was kind of a last minute realization. So we've got the holes cut for that. We're all good. And then over on Ellies Coupe, because we kind of are basically waiting till Friday night now to paint the Roadster, we started doing some more work on Ellies Coupe. We went as far as we could, but with that blocked over to the side there, couldn't really go any further. So we're kind of a little bit gridlocked right now. But anyways, the plan's in place. At the beginning of next week's video, you hopefully will see this thing painted, and then we'll go forward with the rest of the stuff. So anyways, that's it for another week of Coldstream Rod Shop. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe. Come on back next week and hopefully see a red Roadster. Everybody take care and have a great week.